This is the fourth week of our Lenten Series. Our focus is on vocation, or the call of God. The excerpt from the scripture we're reading is John 21, beginning at the 15th verse. When they had finished breakfast, Jesus said to Simon Peter, "Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these?" He said to him, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." Jesus said to him, "Feed my lambs." A second time he said to him, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" He said to him, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." Jesus said to him, "Tend my sheep." He said to him the third time, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" And Peter felt hurt because he said to him for the third time, "Do you love me?" And he said to him, "Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you." Jesus said to him, "Feed my sheep." So what does vocation mean to us? What is being called by God? Oftentimes we are called to reflect on the gift that we have in being children of God, in being called at baptism to live out our promises, to live out the ways in which we are called to spread the love of Jesus Christ throughout the world. So all of our actions, all of our things that we do in church, so to speak, flow out of that covenant, flow out of that relationship. That God, who has first loved us, who has gifted us and marked us forever as his own, is calling us to action, calling us to live out very clearly our faith. So many of us involve ourselves in this action or that action, participating in this ministry or that ministry. And it's important for us to remember why, to remember the foundation of that decision. Because sometimes we have a bit of a disconnect. We get excited about something we're passionate about. You know, some of us, it might be feeding the poor or going and working in a soup kitchen or some other action, or even saving up canned goods, again, to put into the parent and food shelf. Whatever our actions are, we could define them pretty much philanthropically, that, well, you know, we don't want to see people starve. We think that's horrible. As a fellow human being, I don't want to see anybody hungry, so I'm going to give. And it's a great motivation, and there's nothing wrong with that. But in light of our faith, we may add on a layer of, well, God created this person, and God created me, and I have been gifted with X, Y, and Z. I can then help and provide for someone who has less. It changes the factor. It changes a little bit, that my mission is to be communicating the love of God and giving that love to others. And obviously it happens even if I may not be conscious of it. But it's important for us as Christians to be conscious of what motivates us to act. We hear Peter responding to the petitions of Jesus 3 times, reversing his whole episode before Jesus' death, where he denied him 3 times. So you can kind of feel for Peter in this moment. You can kind of feel that sense of, oh my goodness. The fact that Jesus is even talking to him might be a surprise for some. But he calls Peter to do something quite different than he had been doing. Peter, obviously a fisherman, was used to fishing, and yet, as we heard earlier in this series, Peter's fishing didn't kind of produce many fish that one night anyway. So maybe there was something else God was looking for from Peter. Maybe another ministry. Maybe something more inclined to Peter's gifts and grace, or what God has seen in Peter. Have us reflect on our own gifts in that way. Is there something, by opening ourselves to God's motivating us to do stuff, are we opening ourselves to maybe different things that we might not have seen in ourselves? Different gifts that we've not been aware of. So think about that this week as we reflect on vocation or God's call. What might God be wanting of us? How best could we express the very love of God for us in our community, in our home, in our life? Have a good week.